What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We are talking Project Ascension again today. Now, I don't see many videos out there right now, either by the developers or other content creators, on how to gear a character specifically after you hit max level. Now, this is geared towards Area 52 since that is the primary server that I play on. So this is geared for those players as well. Now, I've done some scouring through Atlas loot. I've gone through and kind of compiled a list of gear that is fairly easily obtainable, given a little bit of time investment right when you hit level 70. The reason I want to do this is because this is the biggest, I wouldn't say complaint, but biggest problem that I see from my own community and when I'm on stream is people hitting 70 and asking me, how do I get gear? Do I just try to go into dungeons? Queues take 3 hours because no one's doing them. All of these are valid complaints, and I've taken it upon myself to kind of alleviate some of that pressure. There is the Bloodforge gear system in Project Ascension for when you hit level 70, but I don't advocate for that system. I actually think it's very detrimental to the overall health of the game. It tricks people into thinking, this stuff is purple, it's got to be good for my class, right? It's really not, considering in Project Ascension, we get PvE power, so you need that to boost your performance up, and it doesn't matter how many stats are on that epic piece of gear, PvE power is going to vastly outweigh it in terms of both defense, tanking, and healing. If you guys like these videos and things like it, remember to subscribe below, hit the like and the bell button down there as well. We go live every single day on twitch.tv/Drydek_TV at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Without further ado, let's jump into this video. Let's go! This video is going to be a little bit longer. I would imagine maybe 15 to 20 minutes, but it's going to be an all-encompassing guide telling you everything from start to finish. What builds we're going to be playing, how to farm some gold, what things to put on your gear and what to look out for, and how to obtain that gear. So I implore you, if you're brand new and really looking to gear yourself up and get ahead of the curve, watch till the end of the video. It's going to be a massive help, I promise you. Let's go over section 1 of this video, and this is going to be about the build that I suggest the newest of new healers, even to the veteran healers of Project Ascension, and that is going to be Seed of Life. Seed of Life is a legendary RE that really wants to utilize rejuve and regrowth on as many targets as we can. Now, it's not like the crux of the build. It's not going to be the major portion of your healing, but what this does, it builds itself into wanting to scale your nature healing over time effects as much as you possibly can. The reason I suggest this build over any other build is because it's really simple to play. Basically, what you want to do is you just want to roll as many hots on as many targets as you can, and if you really need some extra healing on your tank, there is a component of single target healing in Lesser Healing Wave that we've thrown into the build as well. Just for reference to know how powerful this can be even in low level gear, I have about level 132 on average on my healer specifically, and I've been easily able to heal mythic 20s with this build. It is inherently just super powerful specifically for TBC, because if you do a lot of dungeon content in TBC, you'll know that there is a ton of CCs, fears, interrupts, kicks, knockbacks, things that just basically allow you to not play the game, and if your group's survivability is based on you getting a heal off in that 1 or 2 second time where you're trying to cast something and you get interrupted or nature locked or healing locked for like 7 seconds and your tank's getting obliterated, there's a bunch of stuff going on, your group's gonna die. And more than likely, they're gonna blame you because, as we all know, you gotta blame the healer for all your problems in your groups, right? Well, with the healing over time spec and Seed of Life, it really holds your hand, and unless you're like extremely new to gaming in general, this one is super simple and can really scale with gear. So this is the build that I suggest for anyone starting out in Project Ascension. I do want to give a warning though to anyone who's actually really new to Project Ascension. I understand this game kind of promotes this classless fantasy. Play what you want. The sad reality of the game is most people end up looking for performance, because if you're going to be doing any kind of group content, aka where the gear is, which is the entire point of the game, is to get better gear and become better at the game, you're usually going to have to be part of a group, and this build really performs even in the lowest levels of gear. So I can't see the newer players really getting griefed a lot by other players. So please heed my warning. I understand you might want to play something different, but I highly suggest starting with this one. learning the rotation, learning the mechanics of the game, and then once you get a good grasp of the base understanding of the game, then look to branch out and try other things a little bit later once you become more familiar with the game, okay? Section 2 of this video is actually how to generate some gold as an early level 70 on Project Ascension. It can be pretty daunting because if you don't have any gear, how are you supposed to kill monsters and generate gold and do all this stuff? Well, don't worry. I've got 3 routes that you can use and kind of graduate from one to the other to generate some gold as a fresh level 70. The first one that I suggest is the Bog Lords in Zangarmarsh. If you're unfamiliar with the farm, I made a video on it very, very long time ago on my channel. It's still extremely popular. I still see many, many people doing this. I will leave a link down to that in the description down there. Basically, all you're going to be doing is going over to Zangarmarsh, where the spawning glen is, where all the Bog Lords are. You're literally just going to kill the Bog Lords and then vendor all the stuff to the vendor. It's literally that simple. Even in the most dumpster leveling gear, you could be like in the worst gear possible with literally any spell, just killing these things and vendoring it to the vendor. You can make anywhere from 250 to 300 gold an hour. So this is a fantastic way to get some early game gold in your pockets as a fresh level 70 on Project Ascension. The second one is a very, very old classic TBC, actual vanilla TBC style farm, and that is doing the elemental plateau for primal fires and primal airs. There is a little teleporter that's going to teleport you up to the elemental plateau right behind the town of Gardar, I believe is what it's called, in Negran. It'll take you up there, and basically all you're going to be doing is farming the elemental fires and the elemental airs there. Now they do hit a little bit harder, and having a decent build for that does increase your speed, but again, you can pretty much do this with any build as long as you have some level of gear. All you're going to be doing is killing these things, collecting the primal fires and primal airs, and then selling them to the auction house, which still do sell fairly regularly, even this late into the expansion, and you can net anywhere from 450 to about 500 gold an hour, of course, depending on how fast you can kill these elementals. The last one, and kind of the last step in your gold making journey as a fresh level 70, is a route that I just recently made a video on, and that is Steamvaults farming. That one has an entire breakdown of the route and the build, so I'll just leave a link to that down in the video, so go please check that out. But essentially I'll just summarize it. You play a bear, you go into Steamvaults, you kill the monsters in there, and you picklock the chests in there for a crazy amount of gold. I've been able to net around 3,000 to 4,000 gold an hour doing this, but that is of course with an enchanting main and a jewel crafting alt, making scrolls of enchants that sell for a lot in the auction house. But if you have none of that, if this is your very first character, if you just kill everything in that video and loot the chest and then just vendor everything, you can make well over 1,000 gold an hour, literally just vendoring stuff. So if you don't want to deal with any of that crap and just vendor and turn your brain off, you can still make a decent amount of gold there. And we're definitely going to be needing it because the next section we're going to be going over is the starter gear that I suggest for newer healers. And a lot of it is through professions and crafted BOEs as well. So let's jump into the third section where we go over the gear. Some of the most exciting parts of Project Ascension. All right, this is gonna be the longest section of the video. I'll try to keep it as concise as I possibly can, but this is the most important piece of the whole video. You need gear to do anything in the game. So what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be starting off with the chest piece. I'll pull a list somewhere up here on the screen so we can go over this together. The chest, shoulders, and belt, we're all gonna be using the Primal Moon Cloth set. This isn't the best stuff in the world, but it's got spirit, some open sockets, and some spell power, and a little bit of mana regen. So this is a perfect 3-piece combo of gear that you can get a hold of very early on, and it will carry you into even early mythics, okay? For the cloak, we're gonna get Mana Weave Cloak. Again, this is a tailor recipe. Just look for someone in World Chat with it and give them the mats to craft it for you. In the boot slot, we're gonna be using Boots of the Long Road. This is a level 128 epic item. This is actually an SSC pattern and are an incredibly powerful pair of boots. These can last you an incredibly long amount of time. They go for around 1,000 gold total, so this can probably be your big ticket purchase item for this gear setup. In the helm and the pants, we're going to be using white men hood and pants. There are a little bit better options if you want to ultra min max, but I'm going to try to keep this as simple as possible. Just try to get the white men hood and pants and use them. They're really, really good as a starter piece of gear. So if you combine that with the Primal Moon Cloth, you have 5 pieces of gear already covered. You don't have to think about anything. Super, super nice. In the glove slots, we're going to be using Gloves of the Living Touch. Again, this is a BOE crafted from leatherworkers. You don't necessarily have to have leatherworking. You can just get someone else to make it for you. But if you want to get leatherworking, go for it. In the braces, we're going to be using Blessed Bracers. These are plate. These don't have Spirit on them exactly, but they have a main stat and spell power. And that's really all you need to get a set of gear going to get you into the content. In the amulet slot, we're going to be using Amulet of Sanctification. This is a low-level BOE blue. You can find this as a mythic version, but I've never personally seen it. But you can buy this off the auction house for like 7 gold. Again, it's not going to break the bank. It's not super good, but it's got spell power and a main stat, and that's all you need. Plus, it gives you another slot to put a random enchant onto. In our ring slots, in ring 1, we're going to get Band of Dominion, and in ring slot 2, we're going to look for the Corium Band of Frost. Both level 70 BOEs, fairly easy to come by. Again, they have spell power and some other stats, and that's really all you need. Now here kind of comes the flex point in this whole gearing process, is the main and offhand, okay? So in the build that I linked at the very start of the video, I suggest going Titan's Grip because ultimately in the end game, you want to use a staff main hand and a healing offhand. The combination is the most powerful thing you can get, okay? And there's 2 options here. There is the Essence Focuser and the Bringer of Death, specifically Bringer of Death Mythic version. The Essence Focuser is a BOE. It's a lower level one, but you can find a Mythic version, which is item level 120 with increased stats. Same thing goes for the Bringer of Death. The non-Mythic version of Bringer of Death has crit, which we really don't need, but the Mythic version of Bringer of Death has haste on it, which is super powerful. So if you can find either or, go for the Bringer of Death first and get Titan's Grip. Very good. Or if that's not available, drop Titan's Grip, put the talent point somewhere else, and grab the Essence Focuser until Bringer of Death comes online or into the auction house. For the offhand, there's 2 options that I gave people. One you can buy off the auction house, and one you need from rep. So if you want to go the non-rep version and just get a piece of gear right off the bat, it is called Fell-Edged Battle Axe. It is crafted from blacksmith. It's extremely cheap, and most people have the recipe by now. It has a socket which you can put a gem in, and you can enchant it with 40 spell power, which we'll cover a little bit later, and you can put another RE on it. So super, super powerful there. But if you want to get your rep up, which you want to get up all your reps to at least Exalted, if you can, you get the Wind Caller's Orb from Cenarian Expedition. But if you just go with the Fell-Edged Battle Axe and get your hands dirty into some heroics and mythics, you can very quickly replace the offhand with badge vendor gear. So if you just want to go the auction house route, get the Fell-Edged Battle Axe. It will be plenty fine, okay? In the trinkets, this is kind of where it gets a little bit tricky. There isn't any BOE trinkets as far as my knowledge is aware, and in TBC specifically, that's not Bloodforged. And again, we're trying to avoid Bloodforged gear at all costs, okay? Don't do it. I promise you, it's gonna pay off later. The two trinket options here, okay? So one requires the Lower City rep, I believe Revered, and it's the Lower City Prayer Book. You're just gonna get 2 of them. Again, it's got spell power on it. That's really all you need. The other option, the little bit more new player friendly, is there's a thing called Nozdormu's Prized Relic, which you get from Nozdormu standing next to the Hero's Call board for a total of 5,000 marks of Ascension. I would imagine as you level, you're probably gonna have enough marks of Ascension to actually buy 2 of these. And again, it has PvE power on it and spell power. And that's all you need as a starter character. So don't get too hung up on this, but don't get Bloodforged gear in any slots if you can prevent it. So the only thing you really can't buy directly from the auction house for this build are the trinkets, but the other ones are easily obtainable as well, okay? Let's move on to reps, enchants, and some things that you need to really gear your gear out, okay? The one common thing I get from a lot of newer players, and I do understand where you're coming from, is you don't want to put enchants on, like, your starter gear, okay? And I do understand that. Why would I want to spend gold on enchanting this gear, putting gems in it, if I'm just going to replace it later? I understand where you're coming from, but let me lay this out for you, okay? If you spend a little bit of time and a little bit of gold investing into your gear early, your performance is going to jump dramatically compared to someone who doesn't. AKA, you are going to get invited to more groups, you're going to heal better, you're going to perform better, and you're going to progress your gear at a vastly accelerated rate compared to someone who holds onto the gear and doesn't enchant anything. So please spend the time, enchant your gear. You don't have to break the bank, But spend the gold, spend a little bit of time, and I promise you it will pay off, okay? So let's go over enchants that you're gonna put on your gear. So starting with the shoulders, you're gonna be getting the Scryer shoulder enchant, and by the time you hit exalted with them, you're gonna have plenty of the little dust or whatever it is to get these, so you don't have to worry about it too much. In the head slot, this is where you get Honor Hold or Thralimar rep for. You're gonna be enchanting it with the caster one that you get from there as well. For your gloves, you're going to be getting Major Healing. The chest, you're going to be getting Spirit to chest. For your bracers, you're going to be getting Superior Healing. On your weapon or weapons, depending if you go with the Fell Edge Battle Axe or the Windcaller's Orb, you're going to be putting Major Spell Power on each of them, which nets you 40 spell power per enchant. So if you go with the Axe version, you can get another one on there as well. It's not super expensive, but getting you 80 healing power is really, really powerful to start with. On the cloak, you're going to be getting Phoenix Fire for an additional 15 spell power. And then this is kind of the big ticket one, which I do suggest getting because it's extremely powerful. You're going to be getting the Golden Spell Thread off the auction house. This can go from anywhere from, I don't know, 300 to 400 gold. Not really all that much, but it's an extremely powerful leg enchant. So don't skip out on this one if you can, okay? Let's go over the last part of gearing, and it is the most simple. If you have a gem slot, put a spirit gem into it, okay? I believe they're called Sparkling Azurites, I believe is what they're called, the green version, and you can just use the green ones for now. You don't have to spend extra on the blue quality gems unless you're absolute grind machine, Mr. Moneybags right off the bat. Just go with the green ones for now and it'll be plenty fine. You're not gonna have a meta slot in your helmet, and honestly, until you get to the point where you need it, the impact they have is very minimal for the most part. So as a newer player, this is what you got to remember. If it's got a gem socket, no matter what color it is, because socket colors don't give you any bonuses on this server, put a spirit gem into it and you will be fine. I promise. All right, guys, I know that was a lot of information, so if you got lost at any point, please go back and watch whatever section you need as many times as you need. I promise you, if you follow the steps that I've laid out here, learn the build, play the build, understand why the build works, spend a little time getting those reps, getting that gold up, and getting the gear that I've suggested, you will be miles ahead of your competitors out there, and your life within Project Ascension will be vastly easier than if you were to just kind of strike it out there on your own. Take it from someone who has spent literally thousands of hours in this game. I promise you, please follow something like this if you're brand new to the game. It makes it so much easier and you won't feel super overwhelmed or like you're gonna give up on the game because you just don't understand what is happening. Project Ascension is wholly rewarding once you understand the core mechanics of the game, when you can really get a grasp of the knowledge behind why builds work, and then you can branch out, play literally whatever you want, because once you understand how to scale stuff and how to play effectively, you can actually play anything you want, and it's extraordinarily rewarding, so please don't give up on the game, okay? Without stretching this video out any farther, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Leave a comment down below what your favorite section was and if this has been helpful for you. I hope to see you guys out there on the battlefield as a badass healer, because it is very fun to heal in Project Ascension. And with that, this video is done. Remember to subscribe below for more content. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!